All right, thank you. So my lab is interested in learning across the lifespan, and we developed a model that looks something like this, a theoretical model where um, we think all three of these things here in the middle are really important for functional independence and cognitive development and things like that across the lifespan. So from infancy all the way to older adulthood. So what we think we need is learning what to learn and how to learn, and motivation to learn, and also the basic abilities to do things like planning or remember things and things like that. And so the idea is that as you're engaging in real world skill learning, you're going to get access to improve all of these things, which then will lead to long-term functional independence in an environment that's changing. And so this is kind of the holy grail for maintaining functional independence in older adulthood, where you're not reliant on somebody else day to day. And so in the model, we kind of conceptualize it as a car. So you're, if you have a lot of cognitive abilities, if your working memory is great, for example, or your attentional shifting abilities are great, then you have, what we call a really robust engine, right? And if you have motivation to learn and adapt, you have the fuel. But the issue is that a lot of cognitive training programs just focus on the engine or just focus on the fuel or something like that, but they don't actually give learners a sense of where to go, right? So for GPS, you would need learning what to learn and how to learn. And all three of these things then provide you with the ability to learn new stuff to adapt in a changing environment. And so this is all, this was all kind of fed into this big study that we did that ended up in an NSF Career Award, where we got older adults to take a lot of new classes with us, and and learn a lot of new stuff they didn't want to learn, in the anticipation that there might be a situation in the future where they would have to learn themselves out of a jam, if they didn't want to be dependent on somebody else. And so they were taking painting classes, or like tech classes, or Spanish or photography, music composition on an iPad, things like that. So really difficult classes. They did this for 3 months. And so this is a relatively complex slide, but I just wanted to show you real quick. We ran 2 versions of this, and we were in the middle of the third one before COVID hit. But if you see this purple dotted line here, that's kind of where older adults would typically be in terms of cognitive composite scores on this particular assessment we did from the NIH battery. And this is where a control group kind of rested the whole time, from pre-test to post-test in the intervention. And then this green group is the first time we ran the intervention. This red group is the second time. And we also did a baseline version before the intervention started. And this is kind of where undergrads would land as well. So this is where middle-aged adults landed. So this gap here is a 30-year gap. So we tried to bridge that gap even in just 6 weeks. So this tells us that there's a lot of promise, and this is probably why that we got the Career Award, because there's a lot of promise in bridging this cognitive decline, so to say, even just in 6 weeks. So. Oh, so we were in the middle. This is the middle-aged group. Sorry. So we were in the middle of running this, and then COVID hit. Bam! Everything had to change, and we were like, we had to shut down the intervention and everything. And so we turned lemons into lemonade. And so we asked for money to look at how the older adults in our interventions have been doing compared to older adults who are not. Because the entire time in the intervention, we were like, things are going to change. You never know how things are going to change. You're going to have to learn new stuff. And then bam! Everything changes. They have to learn how to do their own nails because they can't go to the nail salon. They have to learn how to fix their own toilets. They have to, learn how to order food online or whatever. And so we were getting a lot of emails, from the participants saying, look at all the stuff I've learned. This is great. And meanwhile, all the older adults that we were talking to, who were not in the intervention, were telling us about how they were losing social connections and all these things. So we wanted to study this. And so look at how their learning and adaptive behaviors have been changing over time, and their personal beliefs about what they're capable of doing at different ages, and then social connectivity, and then well-being and isolation. And so we actually have a group of younger, middle-aged, and older adults, as well as older who are not in the intervention, as well as older adults who were in the intervention. So we can see, like, maybe the older adults in our intervention were more similar to younger adults in terms of how they're adapting. And so it'd be interesting to see that. And we can also look at disparities, because our sample is approximately 30% racial ethnic minorities, as well as lower SES, lower income participants. And then we can also look at resilience trajectories as well, because maybe if you've dealt with a lot of stress your whole life, this is not actually that much more stressful. So it'd be interesting to tease those things apart as well. So it's a big team of collaborators, and we're really excited to see what comes out of it. Thank you.